everyone, my name is Khandokar.
My name is Rifat Rashidin.
And I'm Swadhin Roy.
And today we have come here to talk about the security issues in cloud computing. But before we start, let's talk about what is cloud computing.
So, cloud computing is the delivery of computing services including servers, networks, database, storage, softwares over the internet.
For example, one kind of cloud service would be streaming platform for audio and video, where all kind of media files are stored remotely. And there are another kind of cloud service like file sharing storage system, like Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, etc.
But a user can always face a lot of security issues while using cloud computing. Now let's talk about some of the issues of cloud computing. So the main goal of cloud service was to make it easily accessible and usable to the user, but the companies are finding it really hard to make the data only accessible to the authorized parties. Hence, they are facing a lot of security issues like data breaches, lack of IT expertise, cloud migration issues, unsecured APIs, and moreover, hackers. They are always
Did you just say about hackers?
Yep.
Okay, so there are various ways for the hackers to gain access of someone's cloud storage system. So, like example, there are like phishing email system. They like send phishing emails to someone, and with this way, they actually get access the email address of someone's. And when they get the access of their email address, then they can easily get the access of their cloud system. And after getting the cloud storage access, then they apply an appropriate infrastructure to catch one after another. They extracted all the customers and others sensitive data, and for the further processing of their hacking process. And this is the way that software engineers actually deals with the hacking process.
Now, let's talk about the technology that is used to protect the data while transmitting through the network. To protect the data encryption is used. To encrypt the data, advanced algorithms is used to encode the data, and to decode the data, random keys is generated. And the keys is distributed between the trusted parties, and the trusted parties can be authorized by using multi-factor authentication. And if anyone wants to see the data or read the data, they cannot do it because the key is needed to decrypt it. Thus, the data is protected in cloud computing.
So we have taken some insights about this matter from a professional who is currently working in the industry. So let's see what he has to say. What kind of challenges do you face in terms of security issues?
In case you are trying to put something in the internet, our suggestion is use something like bastion host or use something like reverse proxy related to it. So usually we face public IP related problems and DDoS attack and brute force attack. So this is totally related to the modern technology of attacks are usually using right now in these days. But most of them are kind of well distributed among the cloud systems and stuff.
We're talking about attacks by hackers. So, how do you deal with this kind of attacks?
Most of the hackers are trying to hack your server through the public IP or public facing interface. It could be a public IP or public hostname. Most of the time, hackers actually target the admin page in your website. They try to inject something through SQL injection or something like that. In case of SQL injection, you have to secure your code by SQL injection protection. And you will find the CIS and CISSP related standards and standalone guideline to protect your server against all these. And one more thing I would like to say, you have to, encrypt all your data. If your data is in transit or if your data is at rest, you have to encrypt all your data through MD5 or AES related algorithm. This is the standard.
Okay, so while transmitting through a network, what kind of technologies do you use to secure the data in cloud computing?
Okay, if you talk about data transmission, then obviously you have to encrypt all this data through your keys. Most of the cases, there are two types of encryption keys, synchronous and asynchronous. In synchronous keys, you use the same key, same private key to encrypt and decrypt your data. And in asynchronous case, you have a public key and a private key. The private key will be held on your computer, and the public key will be on the server or on the storage. So whenever you transmit the data, it is called data in transit. The data will be transmitted through encryption algorithm. If some hackers catch in the middle, we call it MITM, man in the middle. This is called MITM hacking methodology. If some hackers use MITM methodology to hack your system and they are able to catch your data or data packets, they will not be able to read those data that cause those data are totally encrypted by some algorithm.
So for the final question, we would love to ask you, while having this kind of security issues, what do you think would be the future of cloud computing?
Cloud computing has a really robust and bright future as far as I can understand right now. Everyone is moving to cloud, to be honest, and there is not a single option to get your data breached or get your data leaked in cloud. If you know how to secure data, if you know how to secure database application and web server and storage and stuff, you are totally okay. I mean, cloud is nothing but a data center. You have your physical data center, and cloud is actually some remote kind of data center. So if you know how to secure a data center, you're good.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the studio, and now let's discuss what we have previously learned and what we have learned from our expert. So previously I have mentioned some of the security issues like data breaches and unsecured APIs, but after talking with our expert we came to learn that they are facing public IP related attacks like DLS attacks and brute force attacks, and he has also mentioned that we can use technologies like bash and host and reverse proxy to reduce this kind of attacks. So now let's discuss about what these technologies basically do. So these technologies basically acts like a middleman between client and the server. Generally what happens when a client sends a request, it directly goes to the server of that company. But if we use this kind of technologies, what will happen when the client will send a request, it will go to the reverse proxy or bash and host, which is basically a forward proxy, and then after that it will forward this request to the server of the company, and in the response the company will send a response request to the forward proxy, and then it will forward that back to the client. So basically what is happening, no user will be able to get directly access to the server of that company. So basically it is putting a extra layer of protection in the whole system.
So I have already discussed about some issues in cloud computing, and I have got some important information from our expert as well. So for the hacking purpose, hackers mainly attack the admin pages of a website, and they try to inject something through the SQL injection. So SQL injection is a kind of injection attack that basically execute the malware SQL statement, and this statement actually control the data server behind a web application or a web page. And by using this statement, they can get the power of the authentication or the authorization of a data server of a web page or a website, and they can retrieve the whole content of the data server by using this statement. And they can also use the SQL injection for adding or deleting or the modifying the records of a database. And to solve this problem, what a software engineer can do, they can back up their data, or they can use the SQL injection protection to protect their data and code.
So from our expert, we came to know about the man in the middle attack. There are two phases in man in the middle attack. One is interception phase and another is decryption phase. In interception phase, the user traffic is redirected to somewhere from where the content of the user can be seen to the man in the middle. And the decryption phase, the hackers strip through the SSL or TSL protection of the encryption key. And to solve this problem, we can use passwordless authentication. It's a new thing. You don't have to use any passwords to authenticate yourself. And another is the users must stay away from the public Wi-Fi where they have to put their personal information. And another thing is you can install firewall in their devices, so then they can keep themselves safe from malwares.
So finally, we have tried to combine both our theoretical and practical knowledge in this podcast. Hope you will like our podcast.